If you haven't gotten your copy of Bare Naked Bravery, How to Be Creatively Courageous, then head on over to Amazon right now. It could be on its way to your house or into your device before I'm done introing this next episode. I am so thrilled to introduce you guys to one of my accountability gals. Fabienne Raphaël and I met online because we were both building similar kinds of excitement with our businesses last year. And when she and I were meeting up weekly for a season, I really appreciated her sense of straightforward clarity and her uncanny ability to just make something happen from week to week. It's kind of amazing when someone can say, I want to do something in a week, and they come back and they have done the thing. As a consultant who has clients, I understand that is such a rare thing to come across. So learn from Fabienne with this. She's got some really good things to say. Okay, before we move into this, I don't know if you've captured the trend or the pivot of the show since I launched my book into the world, but I'll give you a little peek into the method behind my madness for this upcoming year. If you have been a longtime listener or you've read my book, which is available on Amazon, you'll know there are 12 ingredients of bravery. Since there are 12 months in a year, I didn't plan it this way, since there are 12 months in a year, we'll be focusing on one ingredient every month. And all of the episodes and all of the open to the public workshops will center around these topics. If you want to check out the previous and upcoming workshops, you can always go visit emilyannpeterson.com/workshops. Okay, now since the book is out and we're no longer in research mode, I'm really looking forward to doing some deeper curation of these conversations that we have on these episodes in the coming year. So even though each week's content will be more mapped out in advance, we are still continuing with the organic conversation like always, and we are still continuing with the same protocol for new guests. You either have to be a nomination from myself, which is why Fabienne is here, or you have to be nominated by a previous guest or a current listener of the show. So if you have a nomination of a guest for me to interview about a specific facet of bravery, then go to barenakedbravery.com, scroll down to the very bottom, and there's a link to nominate a guest. So this month we were camped out in the topic of vision of possibility, and our workshop was awesome. We were talking all about how to use the fear to get what you want. And next month we're diving into the bravery ingredient of power of choice. So keep your eyes peeled on your email inboxes for the registration info for the next workshop, which is going to be titled How to Flow with Life Without Being a Victim. So if that interests you, go, and you're not getting our emails, then go to the website, sign up for something. You're going to get it added to the list, and then you'll receive all of the dates for my performances and also all of the workshops that I teach too. So, okay, back to today. That's a lot of announcements. So sorry. Back to today. So since this month's bravery ingredient theme is vision of possibility, I invited Fabienne to do a mini jam session on how she and I envision moving forward as business owners, because she's really good at this. And since this is one of her strengths, I know you will hear this in today's conversation. Fabienne is a super rad consultant to folks who are looking to leave their corporate day job and jump into the online business world. So even if you're not a business owner, though, I know you will glean so much from this conversation, because the solutions that we discuss can apply to any person or any situation. So without further ado, let's take the leap and dive in. You're listening to Bare Naked Bravery, a weekly podcast hosted by me, Emily Ann Peterson. As a singer-songwriter, author, teaching artist, and creative entrepreneur, I encounter some really fascinating stories. I'm on a mission to reveal the depth and width of bravery and its benefits to creatives like yourself. More than ever today, our world needs bravery, unique bravery, from everyone. This is the place where you find it. There is no script or censorship today because that's how these facets of Bare Naked Bravery are in real life. So if you're listening with little ears nearby, please know that some episodes may contain mature language and subject matter. One of the easiest ways you can share bravery with the world is to send this episode to a friend or two. Send them an email, text, or tweet, tag them in one of my Instagram posts. My handle is Emily Ann Pete, or leave us a review on iTunes. It takes seconds and can be done from your phone right now. Again, we need more bravery in the world, so let's be brave together. Are you ready for some Bare Naked Bravery?
Yes, I am.
Let's do this. Okay, Fabienne is with us today from, where are you calling us from?
Montreal,
Quebec. I'm really excited that you're here because you and I were, for a season in last year, we were basically accountability buddies for business. And we were talking a lot about it. When we were doing accountability calls, we were talking a lot about productivity and making sure that we're being effective and all of that. And so I thought that it would be really fun to have you on the show to talk a little bit about your strengths as a marketer and how you envision moving forward in your business.
I'm looking forward to answer your questions, Emily.
Yes. Yay! Okay. So give us a little background on who you are, what you do, just so that if nobody knows who you are, that they can feel a little bit up to date on that.
Okay. So, I'm Fabienne Raphaël, and I was not born in a family of entrepreneurs. I became entrepreneur just, by meeting my life partner that was already into entrepreneurship and personal development and doing things on his own. And I really thought I was going to be an employee all my life and just retire at a certain age. And my life didn't go on like that. So, let's say First business, I started it maybe 10 years ago, and actually I've been online since about 4 or 5 years. And what I do now is I help experts get paid for their expertise. So people transitioning from corporate to entrepreneur because they're sick and tired of working for someone else and feel that they aim for more. So I help them building their online business and bringing some more revenue into their lives so they can accomplish their project and live their lives on their own terms. So that's what I do now.
That's awesome. That's really great. I'm so excited. So when you are working with, I imagine just because you're working with people who are going from day job to self-employed, that a lot of that has to do with being able to envision what they want their life to become. Mm-hmm. How did you do that for yourself?
That's a very good question, actually.
Whether that's the right way or not.
No, but I think I was just lucky to have met my business and life partner because he had such a great influence on me and who I became and what I've accomplished through these years. I think it was just talking about it and just being open to listening to conferences or going to seminars and just listening to information I've never heard before and just like getting open to the idea, I think I could make that happen myself too. But of course, because I was raised a certain way and I thought that having a job was the only way to go, I was a bit closed-minded at first, and it took me a while to put myself out there. Actually, I think it took a long time because I was afraid of what would people say about me or like, was I good enough and all that stuff about the imposter syndrome. It was totally me. So it took a while for me to really take action because at the beginning I was stuck in the paralysis analysis. So I was just buying everything online and going to conferences and not necessarily implementing what I learned, but just learning and feeling that I was not ready yet.
Okay, let's talk about that because that's important. Because a lot of people, like I think I've done it for sure myself, where like my lack of confidence caused me to think that the only thing standing between me and what I wanted was my lack of knowledge.
Which is so not true, actually.
Right.
The thing
Right.
is, the focus is wrong. Like people focus too much on themselves and what other people will think about what they're doing or their expertise, and they're not never good enough. Or let's say it's because you have a talent or you're very good at something. For you, it's kind of like natural, and you can't figure out like being paid for something like that is so natural to you. So what I tell people is to just focus on people instead of focusing on yourself. So stop being not selfish, but stop being self-oriented and just thinking about the people you serve. Because when you think about these people that you want to serve, then you can imagine what type of influence you can have on their lives, what kind of change you want them to accomplish. And when you take someone from point A to point B and you see what they were before and what they become after you've helped them, well, I mean, there's nothing more fulfilling than seeing the results. So I would say that for someone listening, if you're listening right now and you feel like you're not enough or you don't know enough, well, just think about what solution you could solve for someone. And if there's someone, of course, that wants that solution. And what's most important is there's someone actively looking for your solution. And if there is, well, you could start making money for what you know really now today.
Right. In my book, we talk, which is out on Amazon right now. Yay. In my book, I talk about the 3 reasons why people do brave things. And this, what you just said, ties directly to it, which is bravery is contagious. So if you're in a community of people who are doing the brave thing that you eventually want to do, then that feat of bravery will seem a little bit more normalized and it won't seem so scary just because you're surrounded by other people doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. And the second one is because it's worth it. So after doing the brave thing, like your life on the other side of it is going to be amazing. So maybe it's you won't ever have to talk to your boss again. And that's the motive for being self-employed. And that just sounds like amazing. And you're willing to do anything uncomfortable in order to just never talk to that man again. And then the third reason is because, which is what you're talking about, which is it's needed. Someone else out there needs you to do this brave thing. And so, yeah, going from day job to self-employed, for some people, it doesn't seem like an altruistic act. But when you are serving other people, then that service element comes into play and you're able to actually go, yeah, this thing I want to do, like I want to quit my job and be a graphic designer, self-employed graphic designer. And if you don't know what kind of people you want to do graphic design for, then it's really hard for you to say like, yeah, there are 45 people out there in the world that need me to design them a logo this year. Mm-hmm. I need to go find them. That's like a lot easier to manage,
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right about that. And I would say that to add what you're saying, and I love it, that bravery is contagious, it's worth it, and it's needed. I would say that as soon as you're being brave once, then you could be brave a second time, a third time. It's like exponential.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because it's a skill that we practice that we can build on. Yeah. So one of the ingredients of bravery is having a vision of possibility, which is what we're talking about today. So how do you, like when you know that it's contagious, when you know that it's worth it, and when you know that it's needed, how do you lay out that vision for yourself? Let's just use the day job to self-employed jump.
Well, I would say that it's a big mindset work type of reflecting on where you are right now and where you want to be. Let's say a year from now, 10 years from now. What are the deep and true reasons why you're doing what you're doing other than making more money, right? What do you want to leave as a legacy? One question I often ask myself, like not necessarily every day, but once in a while is, okay, so when I'm not in this world anymore, what do I want people to remember me for? Like, let's say I'm at my funeral and people are talking about me. What are they going to say?
Yeah.
What kind of influence will I leave to the world and to my children and to all these people I want to influence with what I'm doing in my business? So reflecting on that is very important because, as you know, being an entrepreneur too, this is not easy. It could be simple, but it's not easy actually. And we experience a lot of setbacks, failures, of course, successes also, and things that make us go, yeah, I can make it. I can rule the world, right? And other things that make us say, oh, okay, I didn't expect that coming, or wow, why is it so tough right now? And so you need reasons to hold on to when these tough times are going to happen. And the thing is, we never know when a tough time is going to hit. Sometimes you think that you're sailing on a very calm sea, right? And that everything is fine and revenues are coming in and contracts are just in. And then some other time for an unexpected reason, I don't know, sickness or an employee or someone you really relied on decided to leave, or something happens and you're not ready for it. And then you're like, okay, so what are you going to do? You're just going to let it all go and give up? No, because if you have thought about why you're doing what you're doing really deeply and finding the right reasons, then you will feel strong enough to go after your goal again the next day and not leave these type of setbacks or challenges ruin you or just discourage you to go forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I fully agree with that. If you have like that end of life vision of possibility, that a lot of the what do I do tomorrow questions can be answered. But here's something that I have struggled with just personally is the ability to see like 6 to 25 years in advance, or like have that vision of possibility. Because I know that at the end of my life, all that matters really is like, was I creative? Did I help people? Was I loved? And did I love people? Did I love other people? And so those are my big qualifiers for value and legacy. But there are so many ways to accomplish those things. And the question of, well, how do I want to love and be loved, or leave a mark on the world, or leave a legacy for my creativity and my work, like how that applies to 10 years from now, that's always a really hard thing for me to envision, because like I've seen that just from personal experience in the past, that sometimes if I have that vision of possibility, and sometimes I like undersell myself. Either I like say, actually, this happened one quarter ago. I wrote down and I said, I'd like to publish my book in 2 years. And then lo and behold, 2 months later, I was working on publishing the book. Right. So I basically made the choice to self-publish rather than try to find a publisher.
Yeah.
And so then my goals like got immediately fast-tracked.
Yes.
Which is great and wonderful. But when you're in that like planning stage where you're trying to map out what your next steps are going to be, how have you managed to envision like that 5 to 10 to 15 years?
I have to say that I had struggled with that too.
Yeah.
Just because before being an entrepreneur, I was someone that would live day by day. I would say that the only place where it was clear for me where I wanted to go was in sports. I used to play team handball and I was on the national team. And when I joined the team, it was clear I wanted to do the Olympics. So for me, it was Sydney 2000. And like, it's as if I had not envisioned anything else after the year 2000, because the Olympics were going to, happen in my life. But then, a 99 Olympic qualifiers, like we lost in the finals and we didn't make it. So Brazil won 4 goals more than us. And I was completely crushed because my goal was to go to Sydney. And after that, I didn't envision anything else. So I have to say that this experience made me learn a lot, because it made me learn that, okay, so life goes on, right? So you have to keep going with other projects. And at the time I was close to finish my degree in physical therapy. So I finished that degree and I got a job and everything. And then a bit later, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but a bit later in my life, an opportunity came to me to play team handball in Denmark. So I moved to Denmark. I stayed there for 2 years. And then I think that this is where my mindset kind of opened, because when you're in a foreign country, you don't understand anything. You just see life in another way.
Right.
And I think that this was maybe not a breakthrough, I would say, but a realization that, hey, in order to keep me alive, I need to have these goals, and I need to see myself, project myself like 5 years, 10 years from now, and see like what I want to become. And I would say that because I have a family now and a newborn who's only like, he's close to 6 months now, and I also have a 13-year-old, well, it's important for me to make sure that, let's say 20 years from now, like they won't miss anything. Like they will be okay and settled in life, that I would show them to do what makes them happy, and that they will always see a happy mom in the house. And just like value wise, I think this is very important to me, but also like financial education, I think is important too, because we don't learn that enough in school. Like we're so not geared or ready for life financially.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I want to show that to my children too. And I think that for me, what's the most important, because as I worked in physical therapy, there was a period I worked a lot with elderly people, and I would love to talk to them because they have so much wisdom. And each time I would ask them if they have any regrets, they would tell me not to have taken advantage of life enough, or wanting to go on vacation and then say, no, not now, let's wait, whatever. They all would say, when you want to do something, do it. That was all their message. So that's one of my philosophies too. Whenever I feel like doing something, well, I just do it. And if I can, of course, and I don't want to wait too much to do stuff that it really resonates with me. So I don't know if that answers your question, because I went out of a tangent here. And
no, totally. Well, I mean, it does. You basically saying that, like, rather than measuring your life based on mile markers, you're measuring your life based on values. And those values can bend and morph and flex and show up in many different ways. And so you're basically saying, as long as it looks like you have these values, you don't care how that pans out.
Yeah, values are extremely important.
Yeah. We'll get back to the bravery at hand in a second, but I wanted to remind you that I first began having these conversations both on and off the podcast because I was curious about what bravery actually meant. If we could build it, if so, with what ingredients. And I was so curious, I turned my research and personal stories of experiences with feats of bravery into a book. That book is called Bare Naked Bravery: How to Be Creatively Courageous, and it's now available in multiple formats on Amazon right now. So go get yourself a copy of Bare Naked Bravery: How to Be Creatively Courageous, and after you read it, let me know what you think. So for somebody who, because I can only imagine, I really truly can only imagine, because this is really interesting for me to say, but I have never had like a real job, like a 9-to-5 job.
Good for you.
I know, but it makes it really difficult for me to imagine how someone who has felt trapped by a 9-to-5 job might feel, and how desperately they want to get out of it, or even how passively they want to get out of it. So when you're envisioning a life that looks very, 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 very different than the one that you currently have, how do you move forward in that?
I would say that it takes a lot of courage, and it takes the right guidance and the right people around you, because people can bring you down. And it actually happened to one of my clients lately. She's working on building her business, her side business with me. And unfortunately, like, she went to a coworker and started talking about her project, and the girl completely crushed her. Like,
Oh,
what are you
no.
doing? And this is not how it works. And did you do this? Did you do that? I mean, who are going to be your clients? And asking all these questions. And even though like everything has been planned and worked on, and we work on this like together, but it only took one person to totally crush her dream, right? So I would say if you're in a situation where you are at your 9 to 5 and you're starting to feel that you aim for more and you want to get out of there, well, be careful about like who you talk to concerning your project, especially if it's coworkers that have no idea about building a business. Because again, you say you've never been a 9 to 5er. Well, a lot of people have never been entrepreneurs. So they don't know what it takes. They don't know how it feels like. They don't know the struggles. They don't know how thrilled we are when we have a success, because it's all because of ourselves, right? And the team surrounding us and the guidance that we got. So yeah, I would say someone stuck in that situation, just start opening up, but to people that are experimenting exactly the same thing. So go on Facebook groups, talk to other people that you know that went in business, ask them questions. I remember when I was starting, my partner and I, we had actually contacted a few people that were millionaires or that had a business, and we just had a meeting with them. And you would be surprised how many people are open to do that, especially the ones that have been in business for a while and are very well established, and they're just, it's as if they're waiting for a phone call. And so we had called this old man. He was like, at the time he was close to 80 years old, and he was big in real estate in a certain area of Quebec. And then we called his office and we asked to talk to him, and we got the phone call, right? And started talking. And then we said, well, it would be great if we could sit with you and just talk about business. And we're people that want to start their businesses, and we want to learn from others that have done it before us and stuff like that. So he invited us over, and he spent the whole afternoon with us, like 3 hours, us asking questions and him giving advice, and just like being honest and authentic about it.
I think that's so powerful such great advice, because a lot of people say they can mop a floor, but until they actually have mopped a floor, do they know what's entailed and involved in it. So, and I know that a lot of various industries are changing with technology and just the way that our culture is progressing. But even if somebody has been in business for 50 plus years and they are like quote unquote dinosaurs in the industry, they still have like really legitimately applicable advice and wisdom to offer you.
Oh yeah.
That will apply to like any season of business for you. So yeah, that's super great advice. So what'd you guys do next?
What did we do next?
Yeah, so you talked with him.
Yeah, we spoke with him. And I remember at the time, like we were actually, it was like really when we were starting some businesses. And then he was very clear on, okay, this, I mean, it's not worth it to put more energy into it. And this, let it go. And this, put your focus on that and all that stuff. And of course, when you get out of that type of meeting, you're all like pumped up and you're like, oh my God, like, we had great advice, and it was just clear in our heads what we needed to do next. And what I realized also at that time is that everybody is actually at first, everybody is equal, and everybody have their word, and everybody have their dent to leave in the world, and everybody was brought up for a reason, right? And between him and us, there was no difference. Like, I never felt that he was higher or more powerful than us. Like, he was very down to earth. And that's what I loved about it, because again, we're all human beings. And even if someone has, like, let's say more money or more experience, it doesn't mean that you are not in a situation to help someone else, because to someone else, you're going to be the go-to person or the expert. And I always say to the first grader, the sixth grader is the expert. So it's exactly it. Yeah. So got out of that meeting. It was like really fulfilling and so motivating to keep moving forward. And of course, like other setbacks happen, but it didn't matter. I mean, because you always think back about this discussion and some key things that he might have said, especially about failure. Because at that time, I think I had a tendency anyways, to attribute the failure to myself instead of attributing it to external. It's something external that happened. Failure doesn't define you. It's just like a bad decision. You took a bad decision or something happened and then you had a failure, but it's just a learning process. It's not because you are a failure.
Right.
So I remember that at that time I was struggling with that. And I would remember that he would just say, no, these are just numbers, or this is just an event that happened. It had nothing to do with who you are as a person. And I think this was very powerful. And of course, it didn't go away like this limiting belief that I had, but at least like I would sometimes go back to that conversation and know, okay, so this has nothing to do with me as a person. This was a bad decision. This was a bad situation, or this was a bad move from me. And then I have to learn from that and not repeating the same mistake again.
Right. Yeah. That was a failed attempt, that didn't make me a failure.
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, this has been so fantastic. Okay. So just really quick, because I know that you've got awesome mom job stuff to take care of because your little boy is so precious, so cute. Talk to me a little bit about what somebody might be able to do like right now in the next like 4 minutes or so to do some of this values, vision of possibility work that we've been talking about. What would be like one takeaway?
I would say that start to write it down, like journal it, and consult that journal every morning or every day, whatever time during the day that you know you will have time to take a look at it, envision it, and put pictures. I do that every morning with my goals now and with the person I want to become. It's as if like I write third person, as if I'm talking about myself. And then I am, let's say 5 years from now or 10 years from now. And this is how people perceive me and my work. And this is how my clients enjoy what I'm doing for them. So just having that in mind, the thing is the brain loves to be congruent. So what you have in your brain, then all your actions will be towards it. And I strongly believe in that. As like you gave a very strong example before when you said you wrote down that you wanted to have this book deal within 2 years and then it happened faster. It's because in your brain, it was clear that this is where you wanted to go. And then the brain was actively looking for a solution already, even if you were not necessarily aware of it. And all of a sudden you were like, no, I'm going to self-publish. I'm going to do this. And it went faster and you got bestseller.
Yeah.
So it's just how powerful it is. And I think that the majority of people don't explore that enough. We all have that potential, but we ignore it so much and we don't take that time to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that if we do, we'll become so much more powerful.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to use that today with myself because I've done that exercise before, but I've forgotten about it, how powerful that is to write in third person about yourself in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're kind of doing it under the guise of this is total baloney. I don't believe any of this, but it's still, you're right. It's still really effective. So thank you so much, Fabienne, for doing this. This is so fun to reconnect and say hello to you.
It was my pleasure, Emily. It was so much fun. Thank you.
Your brave takeaway from today's show, beyond just the general Bravery bundle that you can download for free over at barenakedbravery.com, your brave takeaway from today's show is to identify what your very next small baby step is. Because if we're going to take the leap into doing anything, you have to be able to envision what the next little step is going to be. Even if you don't know how it's going to turn out, even if you're kind of leaping before you look, even the leap requires acknowledging in which direction you need to take the leap. So if you have an idea of what that small baby step is, then I challenge you to post that to our Bare Naked Bravery Facebook group community, and we can all jam on it together. And if you need some extra help with that, that's the place to go. So if you are not yet a member of our Facebook group community, then go to barenakedbravery.com and you can download your free Bravery bundle and you'll get on the list and you'll receive a link to the Facebook group. So beyond all that, we would love to hear all about your favorite parts of today's Bare Naked Bravery. You can find Fabienne Raphaël and myself on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all the other places. And you can go ahead and tag us so that we can cheer you on and see what you're up to. And if you want to keep in touch with Fabienne specifically, the link to her Facebook is in the show notes for this episode. That's it. That's it for the show this week. I want to thank you again for listening. If you have enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed making it for you, and you're still listening to this, and you just want to rave about this episode to your friends, then the best way to share the Bravery is to text the link to this episode to a friend. You can push the share button on your podcast app, and that will pop up a bunch of different methods for you to share this episode. Another really awesome way to spread the Bravery is to leave us a review and a rating on your podcast app. That helps out always, and it's super awesome. You are a part of spreading the Bravery, whatever kind of bravery it is. You are a part of it. And so I want to make sure that you know that. If you are digging the music in today's episode, that's because it's brought to you by Lee Rosevier. And if you are interested in any of the artists or musicians and other sponsors of the show, go to barenakedbravery.com and all that info is there. I am so looking forward to being with you next week because, like I said in our intro, there is some really good stuff coming up in this next year, but this next month specifically, because we're going to be talking about a lot of good stuff. Power of choice is coming up. So if you've been feeling a little bit victimized or a little bit backed into a corner by life or by a situation or circumstance, then we've got some really good guests coming up who I look to as heroes in that specific ingredient of bravery. Until then, though, I have one message for you. It's this: be yourself, be vulnerable, be imaginative, be improvisational, and be brave, because the world needs more of your bare naked bravery.